Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE Fan 0599 here again. And welcome back to WWE Fans TV Recap Show. And today's recap show will be for Minority Report. So this episode of Minority Report is entitled Fidddler's Neck. So, of course, before we get into this episode, of course, spoilers are ahead. So if you have not seen this episode, please do not watch this review. But if you have seen the episode, or if you just don't care about spoilers, continue on watching. So, just a real quick spoiler warning for this episode. So, what this episode is basically about, it's about, Agatha has a vision. This is her first vision in a very, very long time. She has one where a guy that she used to know, named Ben, her daughter is being murdered, So, now she needs Dash's help, Arthur's help, and even Vega comes along for the ride. So all three of them are going to try and help Agatha and find out what is going on. So yeah. So what did I think of this episode? It was mediocre. I'm being honest, guys. This episode was mediocre. Now, I've been really enjoying this series. You guys know me. I've been really enjoying this series. This series has been very, very underrated. I don't know why ain't nobody's talking about this series, because it's really good. But this episode was not that good. It's not a terrible episode. It's just, it was very underwhelming. It was just a very underwhelming episode. So yeah. But I do have positives with this episode, however. And my positives are the acting with the episode. The acting was still very good in this episode. I thought everybody did a nice job in this episode, Stark's stance as Dash, he's still really good. So, really enjoyed him in this episode, I did think he did a good job in this episode, he was really enjoyable here. Did a very nice job in my opinion, so yeah. The guy who plays Arthur was really good as well. I really enjoyed him. He did a nice job in the episode as well. Was very good. So yeah, the woman that plays Vega was also really good. She did a nice job in this episode. So yeah. And, the woman that plays Agatha, she was really good. This episode's mostly surrounded with Agatha, this episode's mostly about her, sort of, it really is. I really like that. So I thought she did a very good job. The guy who plays Ben was really good as well. I thought he did a nice job as well. So yeah. The acting's really good with the episode. I thought the acting was really good. That final action scene, there's only one action scene in this episode, but that, last action scene was really good. Really well filmed, in my opinion, so yeah. It was a very good action scene, in my opinion, so yeah. The writing with the episode, the writing was still pretty good with the episode, so yeah. The directing, it was still really well filmed, in my opinion, Still had some was really well filmed. The directing was really good in this episode, Whoever directed the episode did a nice job directing it, so yeah. And the visuals still look pretty good. I still like the visuals in this episode, so yeah. Let's talk about some of the moments that happened in this episode. There weren't really too many that I was interested in, but there was still some that we can talk about, so yeah. These flashbacks that we kept on seeing throughout the episode with Agatha and Ben, I really like those. Those were kind of the most interesting parts of the episode to me. When you see these flashbacks of what, because they were a couple, Ben and Agatha, and I really liked seeing that. That was actually really enjoyable. And to me, the best thing about this episode, I really liked that. That was by far the most interesting thing of the entire episode, was that whole thing when you see those flashbacks of, Ben and Agatha. So I really liked that. So yeah. The police, I think the mayor, I believe, he's starting to catch up on how they're catching these crimes, Back at the police station, we see that, they're starting to catch up. They're starting to wonder, why are they getting to these crimes all of a sudden right away? So that should be interesting to see. So yeah. And then that last action scene when, we find out that that she's going to be murdered by, this poison-type water, by these guys that Arthur used to work with, and then this huge action scene goes on. It was kind of like the ending to if you've seen Skyfall, it was kind of like that. It was kind of like the last 30 minutes to Skyfall, if you've seen Skyfall. It was like that. That's how the finale to this episode was like. And that was really cool, and then Agatha basically saves the day and helps them all, and they're all arrested. So yeah. However, I do have a lot of negatives with this episode, and my negatives are some of the acting. Some of the acting wasn't really that good in this episode, the woman that plays Diggle's wife in Arrow, she was in this episode. She played, Ben's wife. She was mediocre. She really was. She wasn't all that great in the episode, I like her in Arrow, honestly. She's really good as Diggle's wife, but here, she was just, she was mediocre. The guys that played, the guys that Arthur used to know. There's this one dude, okay, I forgot his name, but I'm just going to call him Skinny Chris Farley, because he looks like Chris Farley if he were skinny. He really does. So I'm just going to call him Skinny Chris Farley. So, Skinny Chris Farley wasn't even that good in this episode. He really wasn't. So yeah, just some of the rest of the acting wasn't the best in my opinion. It's really disinteresting. This episode wasn't all that interesting. I mean, the whole, we gotta solve the daughter's murder and everything, that was very boring. The thing with Arthur Houston working with these guys, and now Skinny Chris Farley just wants, basically, captures them and stuff, that was disinteresting. I could care less. It was a very disinteresting episode. I was very bored throughout this episode, It just wasn't that interesting. I wish it could have been interesting. And it's very underwhelming. Very, very underwhelming. I thought some more stuff could have happened. Episodes 3, 4, and 5, no really that much action happens in those episodes, but they were still interesting because of the character moments and all that. But just in this, felt very disinteresting. So yeah. Some of the writing wasn't the best as well, especially for those characters, really. It wasn't all that great, So yeah, but overall, guys, this episode was very disappointing, and I thought it was a very disappointing episode. I thought this could have been a whole lot better, so yeah. So it's time for my official grade on this episode, and my official grade on this episode is a C+. It wasn't that good of an episode, guys. I'm sorry, but it wasn't a terrible episode, like I said, but it's just not that good, and it could have been way better. So yeah. So what do you guys think of this week's episode? Leave it in the comment section below. And I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you all later. Peace.